Welcome to KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're telling the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggis. KC Cares is proudly sponsored by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. Kansas City is blessed with a number of corporate giants. And see if you can guess this one. You may be wearing a device on your wrist as you work out. When you fly next time, the plane you're in is being navigated by systems that are created by this company. All right, enough time to guess. It's Garmin. And we are so lucky to have with us today Jennifer Pizzullo, who is the Human Resources Manager for Garmin. Welcome, Jen.
Well, thank you, and thanks so much for having me. I'm humbled that you asked us to join you.
Well, we're so glad to have you. Jen is out at corporate headquarters in the southern part of Johnson County in Olathe. So we're safely distanced, just rest assured, everyone, as we continue through these crazy times. But Garmin is staying the course and doing amazing things, not just in producing their products, but what they're doing in the philanthropic world. And Jen, that's what we wanted to dive into with you, is to learn about Garmin and how you approach doing good in the community. Share with us a little bit about Garmin's approach and why helping in the community.
Sure. So I think it's just instilled here. It was founded by Gary and Min, and they both were so active in volunteering and giving back to the community. I think it's always just been a part of Garmin's values and just kind of the culture that's here. Lori, in particular, Menard, my vice president of human resources, she just kind of echoes very much what Gary and Min have given back, and it just aligned with a lot of my philanthropy efforts. And I just feel so fortunate to work here. I think that probably the best part about it is Garmin never brags or is really out telling a lot of people what they do, and we have such passionate associates. I joke when we're recruiting candidates, you could kind of be involved or uninvolved as you want, because there is something going on that somebody is doing with some philanthropy at all times, not just even Garmin, but so much volunteer activities and different things that are occurring. It's just amazing what footprint people are leaving here, which is just a great part of our culture.
Give us a little scale when we talk Garmin and how many folks are here in town and then around the world?
I think, I should have pulled all my numbers to be sure. We're a little over 5,000 right now in the Kansas City area. We actually have a few locations as we've grown so much, which is fantastic. And I believe we're over 14,000 worldwide. So we are, very, very large. It's exciting to see. I know when I came to Garmin, we were just right at about 1,000 people, and it has just grown crazily over the last few years.
So if you're looking to do charitable things and you have that number of people, how do you go at it? I mean, that's a lot of people to corral around various and sundry things.
Yeah, a lot of people. So probably our main focus, I would say, is our United Way campaign. And we have been so blessed that Garmin matches dollar for dollar anyone that donates into the campaign. And we really wanted to focus on when someone has a passion for their charity, that they could designate their funds. And so Garmin actually matches to that designation directly, which is just something that we've always done from years past. And so it really makes you get a double your impact to that organization. So this is unheard of, because this past year we announced our 2021 campaign we just completed, and I actually announced 1.5 million, but we actually got a $100,000 large donation on top of that. So we're actually at 1.6 million, which is the largest United Way campaign to date. So for us, I think it's fabulous that money gets to stay in our local communities, and it really is benefiting the people. And so now that we're all across the United States, and when you're saying trying to corral, 5,000, different individuals just here, but we also have, offices in Arizona and North Carolina and Oklahoma and Oregon, they can actually impact their communities right in those specific areas too, which is for us, I think, just fabulous that they get to make that impact. And we have such generous associates that are donating. And I think for me, particularly in times of COVID right now that we're dealing with. Many charities are just, agencies are just struggling to do things differently. They don't have, the face-to-face volunteers. They aren't getting the face-to-face fundraisers that they had. And so for us to have an excellent campaign like this was just amazing.
Now that's 1.6 million to the United Way of Greater Kansas City.
Yes, a little bit is taken out of there I'm combining our Salem, Oregon location. That's probably our largest site. But yes, it's going to that, but then they could designate to those specific agencies and their locations. So like if they were in Arizona, it would go straight to Arizona. The Greater United Way Kansas City helps us manage it all across the country. And obviously with our largest population here, it's very large.
Well, kudos to you and all the associates at Garmin. This is, as you mentioned, we've been under COVID for quite some time, and I know that we're hearing with guests, the struggles and yet the pivots. Let's talk about COVID and what in your philanthropic arena you all have had to adjust. One that pops to mind for me is your marathon.
That definitely true. I know we've went a lot of virtual in a lot of those places. I think a lot of the events that we support, or typically in the past had a charity event where Garmin had sponsored a table, we're now doing those online and just thinking differently. We do a lot of things throughout the year that benefit. We put them towards our special events for United Way or different things, or coming up, we're doing Salvation Army Angels. We do those. We've done those every Christmas holiday season, I should say, since Garmin was founded. And so, just trying to figure out how do we collect gifts differently and how do we get the word out to the associates. I think, for us, one great thing is people are online a lot more than they used to be. So a lot of this is really kind of coming to light. And then we've done like some virtual drives and people could donate different things that direction. One of our fundraisers, we've always done like some silent auctions and stuff. And it's a little bit harder when you do those in person. So we try to twist this year. We did a pasta sales fundraiser that was very successful, and everyone could order online and it shipped directly to them. So we've tried to just think outside of the box to be able to still support some of those local campaigns. And I know we have several employee resource groups, and our women's resource group, they did a Harvesters Fund Drive and just kind of did it in a different aspect, instead of, because we have, still some people working remotely. So how can you go and donate and do those different items? I think I'm such an animal lover, but we've had so many adoptions on our teams. We have lots of new dogs in our Garmin family and cats and different things. So some of that has been really, really fun to see. And we're getting ready. We've been working hard right after the first of the year. Garmin has a new day of service honoring Martin Luther King Jr., where we're going to be supporting a volunteer day, which is so exciting for us. And so we're really working hard with many of our local agencies to just kind of think outside the box. What are things they can do from home with their families and not actually in person, but can really benefit that agency to really help them get what they need.
As you're dealing in this new environment of COVID, how do you pull all this together? I mean, you have a full-time job. It's human resources. That's getting the best talent to work for Garmin. And yet this seems like it could be a full-time job just managing all of the charity and philanthropic side.
It is. I will tell you, I think that's where Garmin is just amazing, because there's never a time, and we have so many people that give back and do things. And I will reach out to somebody and say, hey, we're planning this, or can you share this at your location? And they just run with different things. We've done, suitcase drives. And I mean, it's just amazing that, people will help, a foster location, collect bags so the foster kids have something to put their stuff in. And it's never a, no, I can't help you. It's like, sure, let me reach out to so-and-so. And it just kind of, it just grows. And so for me, that's the neatest thing that we do at Garmin. And I just love that. And I mean, I get asked to do things and, I'm like, oh, hey, so-and-so might like that, because they really support that charity. Or people know I just mentioned I'm a sucker for dogs. So they send me anything animal related, they're getting something back. But I don't know, it's just, and especially in these times, just that giving back, embedded in our culture. And it's something, even if I do it outside of my normal job and in the evenings, it just gives you that, it feel good. It's good for the community. It's where we live. I'm making an impact there. And you want people to get their basics and to help them out. There's just so many places that are in need. And I always joke because I grew up in a very, very small town, and I probably was maybe sheltered from a lot of this, and you didn't see a lot of the people going without food and different things. And it just amazes me, just even right here. And I'm based in Olathe, in our Olathe community, just the needs that are out there, or the kids, the worry was when everybody was virtual, how are some of these kids going to eat, because they're sending, bagged food home with them on the weekends. And you just wouldn't think sometimes in our areas that that's occurring. And it's just almost shocking that that happens. And so if I can make a difference for one of those people, and I think that's how most of us feel at Garmin, is how can we benefit them and make it better? And so I just feel fortunate that I've, always had food on the table and different things. And so I just feel like that should be available for everyone.
Can you walk us through like a recent activity that you've done? I'm fascinated by this pasta.
Sure.
You're a pasta fundraiser. It sounds like the participants got the benefit of pasta.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was probably our most recent one. We were just kind of trying some different way to maybe connect to a fundraiser, that how do we do this virtually where we aren't having people coming in and, interacting as much, because we're trying to social distance. And so I had been given this, and I have to give kudos to one of our operations managers, because she had actually given me this bag of pasta. And I think you're a Michigan fan in the background. I can see behind you, but I am a KU grad. So she had given me this bag of pasta, and it was little Jayhawks. And I had just kept the label on it. And when I took it pre-COVID, when I had taken it to a barbecue, everybody was like, "Where did you get that? Where did you get that? This is amazing." And on the label, they had all different kinds, and there's sporting, and there's, there was animal ones, and there was certain ones for kids. And they had, like mac and cheese pasta, and you could make soups. And then they had gifts for holidays, but it was really affordable. And so anyway, I found out that there was a fundraising opportunity. So we went on and just signed up for it. And basically it was a link that was sent out, and then people could go on in their own time and sign up for the link, and then it shipped directly to them. And we actually got a profit on a certain amount of the proceeds, which it came out to be several $1,000s, which was just amazing for us. And we just, so I never thought I would say that I've sold macaroni and cheese to raise money, but we sold a lot. So it was just a new way of just thinking differently, of a way to how do we raise some different funds in COVID. So that was kind of fun for us. I think we might do it again at the holidays for like stocking stuffers and different things. But it's just a fun. And I felt like at this time, I know a lot of people are saying we just need some fun or something different to do, as where everybody's still, inside. And I think it aligned with a lot of people, cooking more at home and doing those things. So, but we're always open to new ideas. So.
So the funds that you raised, and I should say, while there's a Michigan behind me, I'm also a KU grad. The Jayhawk is just out of camera view, so I don't want to diss my Jayhawk loyalty. Oh. But with those funds you raised, now where do those go? How are they going to be used?
Yes, so in that case, we designated them to the United Way, but then we also did take some of those designations. In this case, some of these efforts we do for a lot of different things within the community. So we try to focus on various, we do everything from STEM initiatives to we sponsor some high school labs on the electronics side. And then, Salvation Army I had mentioned was one. We have a lot of the local KBC, TLC. We have some of the shelters that we sponsor. And so every year we try to kind of mix it up where we designate that money to, so that we aren't just doing a homeless shelter. We're not just focusing on, but we try to mix it and spread it within the community. So we hit a wide variety of different things. So we're kind of still in the process of hammering all of those down, but just a few agencies that I mentioned are a few that we've worked with throughout the years.
We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive in even deeper at how Garmin chooses what they'll support. We're back with Jen Pizzullo with Garmin, and we're talking about corporate giant with a big heart. And I wanted to get into a little bit of what is the lens that you all look at, what you're going to engage in. You're a big multinational type corporation, international, I should say. So how do you do that? I'm sure people are knocking at your door a lot.
Absolutely. So a couple of things. We definitely try to ensure that every agency that we're working with is a designated 501(c) for sure to start off with. We focus definitely on some health-related organizations. We try to ensure that we're hitting all diversity efforts, that we pick different agencies. We do a lot of research and spreading support for a variety of community organizations and local impact areas. We get suggestions throughout the year, and so we review those from kind of a committee perspective. We're also very fortunate that one of our founders, Min, also has his own foundation. So Lori Menard, that is my vice president, she sits on the board of Min's foundation. And so we try to also pick different organizations so we're not kind of doubling up on the same, so we can really have that widespread impact. And again, try to do stuff that's, local in our communities. We have, as I mentioned, so many people that volunteer, but we have people that sit on different boards and, some charity events that we've, sponsored and blood drives and different things that we've done for years and years. So we try to continue with those different things, but, just again, trying to really spread that so we're not just heavy focused just in one single area. And I know I was trying to think like we've had some, recent prior to this pandemic, but recent pandemics that, we focused on some of the needs for that. So it kind of, I would say changes, every year we have a different viewpoint that we're looking at, but definitely still trying to spread that so we're not just heavy focused into one single area.
What can you tell us about Min Cow's foundation?
Oh, he's kind of probably just very similar to Garmin in that there's not a lot of stuff that is publicized on there. He does a lot on the educational front as well. So in Tennessee, which was one of his alma maters, and I should have had all this research, but I think it's University of Tennessee. He actually has his own engineering building there. And then he does a lot of large scholarships. And I had alluded to STEM initiatives, but he did recently sponsor, we just announced our aviation electronics high school program. And this was our second year, but he actually sponsors the entire lab and equipment at that because it's very relevant for our business to have kids coming out with trade backgrounds that are wanting to go into electronics. So not just even at the engineering side, but from the education perspective. And then he does also his philanthropy. He does so many different things in the community. Again, pretty silent about it. So I probably don't have as much of a viewpoint into it, but just amazing things. And he's obviously a large donor still, even in our United Way campaign. And yeah, so again, it's just kind of one of those building blocks of how our foundation is.
So is there a lot of conversation between what you're doing at the corporate level and his foundation?
Yes, I think a lot of that happens. Well, Lori, for her sitting on the foundation board, I think that helps for knowing exactly what all that they're approaching. And then that helps us not overlap as much or be able to target if there's maybe a larger initiative, we can, put stuff together. And again, it's going to be board approval on that side too. So they're going to look at, what is Garmin doing as a whole and different items such as that. So a lot of collaboration, I would say.
Well, that's good that there's not replication, but collaboration and partnership. Of the many things that you've been involved at philanthropically at Garmin, is there anything that pops out that was extra fun or meaningful? We know about the pasta, so you're well fed.
Yes, very fun. I would just say, I have been at Garmin. I'm celebrated over 13 years in February, and when I started our United Way campaign, which I've always been involved in the United Way for 20 plus years, was under $100,000. And so for us to be at the point that we are and to have grown to 1.6 million is amazing to me that we do that. And I think some of the things that stand out in the first few years, because going along with kind of our style and our values, we don't press people to make donations. We hope that you're donating because it's coming from your heart, or you're volunteering if you can't do it monetarily. And so we did a lot of really fun things in the beginning as kickoffs, and we did some when we were a little bit smaller. I can't quite pull them off with this many people anymore, but I think our kickoff luncheons, were just really exciting because we got a lot of our executives, and a shout out to Cliff Pemble. He humored us a few times, and all of our executives would come out and serve food, but we had everything from Hawaiian themed, lunches that we had, and it was just really fun to see everybody really interacting. And I think it really got kind of that feeling behind it. We've had to be a little more creative as we've gotten so large and we're so big across the United States to be able to include everyone. But those definitely were fun. We had, I don't know, almost like circuses where we had dunk tanks and all sorts of different things. So it was, yeah, just fun to see that. And then, I've sat on several boards, and I think that's probably learning what these agencies do, because I get to see a lot of it from the fundraising side and how we're supporting them. But their day to day of some of the things that they deal with, it just, again, makes me feel so fortunate. And I'm so glad that we're supporting some of these, because you just don't even know, like I had mentioned, the lunches for the kids, but I sat on the KBC board for a few years, and just understanding, what foster children are going through, or they have a hospital that, serves them. And I wasn't aware that there's even those types of things that are happening in our community. So to be able to make differences and help those individuals, and hats off to those agencies, because those that are working in the field and assisting those, they are just doing great things and serving the needs of our community. It's just amazing. I know we got to tour, like the Salvation Army has a shelter, and it's one of our only homeless shelters for families in our area, just down the street from us. And it's just amazing how they work to get the people back on their feet, and many of them still volunteer. And so to see how they've been helped and now they're giving back to the community, I mean, that's what we want. That's what we're, trying to support, is getting people on their feet and being self-sufficient. But again, there's so many just great causes that are out there. So I don't know that I could say I'm touched by just one single one, because we just enjoy doing that so much. And, our Garmin Marathon does a lot of great philanthropy. And so you'll always see us, we always have a SAG stop. I'm not a runner like a lot of our people here at Garmin, but yeah, it's very fun to have them come through. So.
Well, that probably wasn't fair to say pick one. I just wondered if there was an experience that, had really stood out for you. Let's talk about, we discussed kind of the lens that you look at. What's the process for nonprofits if they think, gee, I would really like to talk with the Garmin folks and let them know about us? So how do they go about that if they want your consideration?
Yeah, on our main Garmin.com webpage at the bottom, there's a sponsorship section, so they can fill anything out like that formally to be considered, and it goes through a formal process that direction. And then I would say maybe more informally, I have a lot of people that connect with us, via LinkedIn or in the community, and we get to know these organizations. Or one of my most favorite things that I do is I'm on the 100 Women That Cares. And we work with a lot of the different organizations that get to present 4 times a year. And so I get to meet a lot of new places, or to see some of the work and maybe some of the agencies that I haven't been exposed to. So we get exposed to different ones like that. And, it's a chance for us then to maybe nominate one of those that, wasn't selected from our 100 Women That Cares, but are still doing amazing things. And so I think just a variety of ways. And then again, I mentioned, like, we have so many people that sit on the boards, or maybe their children are involved in, different agencies that are helping even their children from autistic perspectives, or, we've been touched by people with cancer or heart disease, and so some of those people are, very passionate on those different organizations. So we see a lot of that. And so that kind of flows up our direction too. So I'd say informal directions.
Now your LinkedIn is going to get bombarded.
It might be, yes. It's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
Well, I wanted to circle back to you talking about the tremendous growth in your United Way campaign from, in the 13 years that you've been at Garmin. What have you done to help that grow so much?
Yes, and I told you I think it's maybe more challenging in the fact that we're not pressuring and we don't want people, but I joke because I kind of have a big mouth and I'm never afraid that somebody might just tell me no. So it never hurts to ask. And so I think, really, I think our big kickoffs in the beginning and years past, so maybe, 10, 11 years ago, really helped kind of just solidify it. And then I'm very good at making sure that we meet with managers and the heads of the segments and just, hey, we have this coming up. Just wanted to remind you. And, if there's anything you're really passionate about, this will double your money because Garmin's going to double your donation that you're giving. And so really selling it that direction. Now that we've gotten larger, we do a couple incentives. This year we used to do T-shirts for a while, and now this year we could pick a fold-out chair or a beach towel. So if you donated at a certain level, you got that. We also get prizes and we do a random drawing for those that also donate. So, which is kind of exciting. So I don't know, everything just kind of motivates people in different ways. So we try to kind of do a wide variety. It's definitely, I would say, challenging to try to do it as a US based campaign versus just Kansas City. So we try to be fair and draw prizes, all over, or gift cards or different things. And yeah, so it's, I would say, very grassroots. We also have, so many people that have, been involved in the United Way from, 10 years ago. So they're very good at telling their teams. And we've done, different avenues from obviously payroll deductions. And we also have stock options, so they could give stock if they wanted to. And just, I think, making them more aware of where their money can go. This year, given that we're obviously doing a lot of stuff, via our Teams meetings, we had some information sessions and just, where could your money go? What, if you did donate to the United Way, what could that do? And then we also have on our intranet several organizations and agencies that we've worked with for years. And if anybody gives us one, we'll happily put it up there and get it on our intranet, that they could go in and look at the different organizations as to, if I'm passionate about, the homeless or, giving the food banks, here's, some links and some places. And then we're very fortunate. Several of our agencies we've worked with also sent us back some videos. So we put a collaboration video together, and it was kind of a thank you back to Garmin, like, hey, this is what we've used your money for, or this is where some of your funds, because I think really tying it to, I'm not just giving it to an agency, but what is that agency doing and where did they put the money to use, was very good for our associates to see that. And I think we kind of did the kickoff luncheons in years past because we used to have like an information session, and it just wasn't working. Like, people just didn't show up in the auditorium years ago. And so we just tried all these new tactics to kind of allow people to learn what the different organizations do. And I think when somebody's truly impacted, even like in your own department or your own team, I think that makes you a lot more aware of what things do. And, I give some stories about, I had mentioned, I thought been impacted by the United Way. And we always joke because, Kansas has tornadoes. And, but I think that was, when a Category 5 tornado went through the neighboring town, and our family was there, and you could not get to them because trees are down and streets were off, and, cell phone coverage was out. And, the Salvation Army is one of the first places on site that were helping people. And, to me, that's always been kind of at the heart of, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they were able to help these people that now have no homes, and they were able to rescue them. And so, I think just seeing that and having people understand how those different agencies can affect different things, they just, like I said, just do amazing work. And again, that's the time they didn't think, oh, I'm not one that needs, help from the outside. And, it might just be you. You might have a fire in your house and lose everything, and somebody might be there just to support you. And so I think that's, most of the reason why I give back.
Well, I love that you have combined education, heart, and fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's not something painful to donate. It's something fulfilling. And I love the fun aspect. That's just great. I could see where if you're doing United Way and you put up a Chiefs chair, how it might not go over so well up in Oregon. But
exactly. Yeah, this year, that's funny you say that. The Ronald McDonald Red Friday, we had one of our stellar years this year. So, yay for the Chiefs being championship last year. That was great because we did a huge fundraiser there. So, kind of like I said, you could be as involved or uninvolved. We just have something going on at all times. So,
Looking forward to 2021.
yes, for sure.
We're all hopeful that we will get out from under this cloud. Are you laying plans at this point for what you're going to do and anything you can share yet?
Well, probably the Day of Caring, the Garmin Day of Caring that's honoring Martin Luther King Jr. I'm just humbled by what Garmin is doing. So obviously, we hope that everyone will volunteer a day of their service that day. But we're also going to open our fundraising site again. So if they chose to donate to a particular organization or they didn't feel like they could volunteer that day, or if they want to do both, that's great. But Garmin's also going to match dollar for dollar for those organizations, which will be fabulous, which is something we've never done. And so we'll have a lot of volunteer activities. So we're super excited to launch that. So that's kind of on our horizon right now, which is coming up in January. So it'll be right here after the holidays. And I know a lot of organizations see a lot of stuff come in right at I would say maybe the December timeframe. So we're hoping that January timeframe, and then we can make an impact on those diversity initiatives too. So super exciting for us to do that. So that's probably I think our first and foremost goal. And then I guess we're going to have to try to see how we can top 1.6 million next year. That's pretty just crazy. I just can't even believe we've done that much, especially even in COVID times. So I think that's just a true story about Garmin and just how much everybody gives. And we're lucky we're all working and have great jobs. So I think it's just we're going to give back and make that impact for those that are struggling.
Well, we salute all you're doing at Garmin and the heart, the education, and the fun. Check out Garmin.com. Sponsorship, see all the great things that Garmin is doing. Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you again for having us. We really appreciate it.
And thank you for listening to KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by Charitable Communications, and we're proudly sponsored by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. If you'd like to be a guest on KC Cares or for underwriting opportunities, please visit our website at kccaresonline.org and spread the love. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at KC Cares Radio and on Instagram at KC Cares Online. Thank you for listening to KC Cares.